For nearly a decade, Alaskan Bush People captivated viewers with its intimate portrayal of a family pursuing a back-to-the-land dream in the remote wilderness of southeast Alaska. At the heart of the series stood patriarch Billy Brown, his wife Ami, and their 7 children, Bear, Bam Bam, Gabe, Rain, Birdie, Joshua, and Noah, each uniquely shaped by the rigors and freedoms of bush living. Week after week, audiences tuned in to witness breathtaking landscapes, ingenious survival tactics, and the Brown family's fierce loyalty. Yet behind the cinematography lay a sobering reality. Life, off the grid, posed risks that sometimes ended in tragedy or controversy. As 2025 dawned, fans began asking a sobering question. Which members of the Alaskan Bush People cast are no longer with us, and which have landed on the wrong side of the law? The first and most mourned loss occurred June 7, 2021, when Billy Brown passed away at the age of 68 after a protracted battle with cancer. His warmth, deep baritone laugh, and inventive approach to bushcraft made him an instant fan favorite. In interviews, Billy often credited his rugged upbringing in the Pacific Northwest for shaping a resilient spirit and a capacity for teaching his children to thrive in extreme conditions. His death prompted an outpouring of grief across social media, from hashtags like #RememberBillyBrown to fan-created tribute videos set to footage of his impromptu banjo solos and heartfelt speeches. His passing marked the end of an era, leaving viewers and his own family grappling with the void his absence created. Beyond that singular loss, however, the question of which Brown family members have faced legal troubles is far more complex. Over the show's run, rumors swirled about run-ins with law enforcement, some substantiated, many not. Bear Brown, the eldest son, was arrested in late 2020 on suspicion of driving under the influence in Okanagan County, Washington. Court records show Bear pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor DUI charge in early 2021, paid fines, and completed a court-mandated alcohol education program. No jail time was served, but the incident spotlighted the precarious balance between off-grid independence and compliance with state regulations. Bear later addressed the episode in interviews, expressing remorse and crediting his family for unwavering support during his rehabilitation. More recently, in March 2025, small-town newspapers in Washington state published reports that Joshua Bam Bam Brown had been detained for contempt of court. Sources say he failed to appear for a civil hearing related to back taxes on the family's stepfather's property in Washougal, Washington. Public records confirm a notice of delinquency, but Joshua's representatives maintain the omission was a paperwork oversight, not an intentional evasion. Despite an eventual settlement and payment of the outstanding taxes, local gossip linked Bam Bam's legal hiccup to the cast's broader financial strains, raising questions about life after the cameras, the cost of maintaining multiple homesteads, and the challenges of blending mainstream media fame with off-grid values. Equally contentious is the fate of Noah Brown, the youngest son. In late January 2025, law enforcement logs from Skagit County, Washington, list a John Doe resembling Noah Brown in custody on suspicion of minor assault following a bar fight in Concrete, Washington. No official booking photo emerged, but eyewitnesses claim the suspect's tattoos and physique match Noah's public profile. Investigators ultimately released the individual after determining he was not the reality star teenager. Still, speculation persisted online, prompting Noah to post a video statement denying any involvement and warning fans about misinformation. The incident underscores the pitfalls of instant celebrity. In small communities, a single misidentified arrest can go viral before being refuted to date. No other primary cast members have been charged with crimes or imprisoned in 2025. Gabe Brown, the family's steady hand and most documented son, drew praise for securing new land leases and pursuing sustainable tourism ventures, yet no legal entanglements. Rain and Birdie Brown continue focusing on music and art, respectively, while Ami Brown has publicly battled recurring health challenges but maintains a clean record. Some extended family members and non-mainline participants in the show have faced traffic citations and minor infractions, but none on the level that triggered widespread media coverage. As the show enters yet another production hiatus, fans pore over public records and news archives to separate fact from rumor. Which Browns are gone? Billy Brown, who's been jailed or booked. Bear Brown for a DUI misdemeanor in 2020, and Joshua Brown for a civil contempt notice, later resolved in early 2025. Unverified stories briefly implicated Noah, but were formally debunked. This tally may seem modest compared to tabloid fodder from other reality franchises, yet for a family that prided itself on self-reliance, these legal detours feel especially jarring. Proof that even the most self-sufficient bush lifestyle cannot fully escape the reach of modern law. Bear Brown's DUI arrest in late 2020 proved to be more than a brief tabloid headline. It became a pivot point for his personal life and the family's public image. In November of that year, an Okanagan County Sheriff's deputy pulled Bear over after witnessing a truck weave between lanes. Bear, then 32, registered a blood alcohol content of 0.14, nearly twice the legal limit in Washington state. He was booked overnight, released on a $1,500 bond, and charged with misdemeanor DUI. Under Washington law, Bear faced up to 364 days in jail, but his clean prior record and expressions of remorse led the county prosecutor to recommend a lighter sentence: 30 hours of community service, enrollment in a 12-week alcohol education class, and probation for 1 year. Bear completed all requirements by summer 2021 and publicly apologized, calling it the biggest mistake of my life. Those 3 decades of sobriety conditions came with strict reporting obligations. Bear had to submit quarterly breathalyzer results and attend regular check-ins with a probation officer. Evidence of full compliance, verified through court documents, allowed him to avoid jail time altogether. Yet the impact lingered. At the next filming season, producers captured moments of Bear joining Alcoholics Anonymous meetings and mentoring other young men from rural communities. Footage that MTV later edited into a redemption arc. Viewers applauded his candor, and Bear leveraged the exposure to co-found a regional outreach program, guiding struggling residents toward treatment resources. Still, the stigma of a DUI shaped part of his narrative. Social media threads still caution fans: watch how far he's come, and remember Bear's story. Meanwhile, Joshua "Bam Bam" Brown's civil contempt situation in early 2025 underscored another dimension of legal entanglements: financial compliance. In January 2025, the Brown family's Washington property, leased lands used to film off-grid homesteading sequences, fell into arrears on back taxes totaling $12,450. The county issued a notice of delinquency, but never personally served Joshua, who ultimately missed a required court date in March, triggering a contempt charge. Sheriff's logs noted that deputies attempted to contact Joshua at a residential address tied to his mother Ami, but found him not at home. Honorably, Joshua surrendered himself 2 days later, attended a brief hearing, and paid a $500 contempt fine plus late fees. He then settled the outstanding tax bill in full and provided proof to the court. No jail time was imposed, but the incident delayed filming in Washington for several weeks, as unpaid taxes had put cameras and crew at risk of permit violations. Producers quietly shifted that season's storyline to focus on the Brown siblings moving between family homesteads in Oregon, New Mexico, and Alaska, keeping cameras rolling while the Washington lease issue was sorted out. Off-camera, Joshua apologized on his social channels, describing the lapse as a paperwork nightmare and promising fans it wouldn't happen again. The show's legal counsel took over lease management, ensuring future tax and permitting compliance. Joshua's civil infraction became, in effect, a cautionary tale about the complexities of balancing once off-grid living with modern legal obligations. Rumors swirled around other cast members, but none resulted in confirmed arrests or jail sentences. Noah Brown's alleged bar fight arrest in Concrete, Washington, in January 2025 turned out to be a case of mistaken identity. Local law enforcement formally cleared him when witnesses and tattoo records failed to match. Rain and Birdie Brown, though sometimes spotted in late-night Olympia or Seattle social scenes, have no police records or citations beyond routine parking tickets. Gabe Brown, regarded as the most law-abiding sibling, has maintained a spotless record while expanding sustainable tourism ventures, including guided fishing trips and eco-lodge stays. Any legal brush-ups would have thwarted investor confidence. Extended family members connected to the franchise have faced minor infractions, traffic violations, ordnance fines for unauthorized road closures during impromptu family gatherings, but none rose to the level of criminal charges or jail time. The show's spin-off episodes capturing Judith, Ami's sister, receiving a citation for improper ATV use, and Mum Sarah Brown's brush with local building codes were aired as humorous, learning moments, not legal calamities. Behind the scenes, the production company now employs a compliance officer to vet all filming locations, leases, and cast activities against state and federal regulations. That role emerged after Bear's and Joshua's incidents, emphasizing the need for legal oversight. Today, as the series proceeds into 2025, the tally remains. One cast member dead, Billy Brown, 2021, two with past legal entanglements, Bear Brown's 2020 DUI and Joshua Brown's 2025 contempt, and no one serving jail time. With stringent compliance measures in place, the family aims to keep the focus on wilderness adventures rather than court summonses. Beyond the headline arrests of Bear and the tax-related contempt issue for Joshua, no primary Alaskan Bush People cast member has actually spent time behind bars in 2025. Yet the specter of incarceration, however fleeting or unsubstantiated, has shadowed the family's story throughout its run. In this section, we'll trace how each sibling has navigated rumors of jail time, clarify which incidents truly involve the legal system, and highlight how the Browns have worked to keep brushes with law enforcement out of cell blocks. Bear Brown's 2020 DUI arrest represented the closest any core Brown has come to incarceration. Although the charge carried a possible jail sentence, Bear's clean record and compliance with court requirements, 30 hours of community service, alcohol education classes, and 1 year of probation, spared him incarceration. Since then, he's publicly reinforced that decision to avoid further legal jeopardy. Bear regularly reminds fans that the only bars I'm visiting now are rehab meetings and church houses, a reference to his AA work with rural Washington communities. His outreach efforts underscore a conscious pivot away from behavior that might risk jail time. No records show Bear was detained again or cuffed for any new offense in 2025. Joshua Bam Bam Brown's contempt citation stemmed from a civil court proceeding over back taxes, not a criminal indictment. Failing to appear at his initial hearing triggered a brief bench warrant, but Joshua promptly turned himself in, paid fines, and rectified the tax shortfall. Local press coverage noted he spent less than 2 hours in custody, largely waiting for a judge to process paperwork, before being released without bail. Technically, that involved being held in a county lockup, but it did not rise to a formal jail sentence. Producers subsequently portrayed the incident as a learning curve about modern financial obligations. In interviews during spring 2025, Joshua stressed that he never intended to flout the law and personally apologized to neighbors whose viewing permits had lapsed during the tax lien period. No further jail visits have been reported. Rumors also circulated online that youngest son Noah Brown had been arrested for assault during a barroom altercation in Concrete, Washington. Though sheriff's logs listed a John Doe matching Noah's description, law enforcement officials later confirmed that video surveillance and fingerprinting ruled out any family member. Noah himself posted a calm, 2-minute Instagram story from an Alaskan riverbank, stating he loved fishing too much to wander into a bar fight. The incident underscores how mere celebrity likenesses can trigger jail scare stories, even when the accused is entirely innocent. It also marks the only rumor to arise in 2025 that hinted at real jail time before being emphatically debunked. What about Gabe Brown, Rain Brown, and Birdie Brown? Despite their relative fame within the show, none has faced charges that risked incarceration. Gabe, now actively managing family land leases and sustainable tourism ventures in Oregon and Montana, has maintained a spotless public record. In spring 2025, he secured a 5-year land use permit, passing rigorous background checks that included local criminal databases. Rain and Birdie, both of whom relocated to Seattle in 2024 to pursue music and art careers, have traffic citations for speeding and parking violations, but no misdemeanors or felonies. Their publicly posted certificates of completion for defensive driving courses further signal a commitment to avoiding any legal entanglements that could lead to jail time. Extended family members and peripheral cast have sometimes sparked minor legal notices. For example, Judith, Ami's sister, was cited in 2022 for ATV infractions, and granduncle Ethan received a citation for hunting without a license in 2023. None of these incidents resulted in jail sentences, and they were typically resolved by small fines and Angolan promises to comply. The show's spin-off episodes often featured misadventures, like Nate's traffic ticket or Matt's noise complaint, but always with the caveat that fines were paid and no custodial penalties followed. Behind the scenes, Alaskan Bush People's production team now employs a dedicated legal liaison to vet shooting locations, lease agreements, and cast activities for jurisdictional compliance. This role emerged after Bear's and Joshua's close calls, emphasizing proactive risk management. The liaison conducts quarterly legal audits to catch any permit lapses, expired driver's licenses, or other triggers that could lead to accidental arrests. As a result, no Brown cast member has been unknowingly booked or detained since early 2025. In summary, the tally for dead or jailed Browns in 2025 remains straightforward. 1 death, Billy Brown, 2021, and no ongoing incarcerations. Bear's DUI and Joshua's contempt citation are the only offenses that intersected with law enforcement, and neither resulted in actual jail time. Rumors involving Noah proved false, and no other primary cast member faced charges warranting custody. This outcome is remarkable given the family's high-profile lifestyle and underscores their collective effort, via public statements, legal oversight, and shifted priorities, to keep legal transgressions off the grid and out of cell blocks. In the wake of these headline-making incidents, the Alaskan Bush People family has taken a deliberately transparent stance toward legal compliance. Ami and her longtime partner, Matt Brown, personally oversaw a compliance workshop in early 2025 at the family's Haines, Alaska, homestead. They invited local tribal leaders, county officials, and even an attorney specializing in remote area zoning laws to speak candidly about permits, leases, and public land usage. By publicly documenting that session on the family's official social channels, they hope to turn past missteps into a teachable moment, illustrating how modern regulations intersect with their off-grid ethos. The video now serves as a blueprint for reality TV families navigating the fine line between self-reliance and state oversight. Behind the scenes, production staff strengthened their vetting process. Before each new season's first shoot, every cast member now undergoes a mandatory legal readiness review. Driver's licenses, liability waivers for off-road vehicles, and animal handling permits are checked and double-checked. Any expired credentials trigger an immediate suspension from filming until rectified. This zero-tolerance policy was adopted after Joshua's tax lien hiccup and Bear's DUI, reinforcing that crew safety and legal standing take precedence over storyline continuity. The show's new end credits include a legal compliance acknowledgement, thanking state agencies and tribal councils for partnership, a signifier that the Browns are committed to operating within the law rather than above it. Community outreach has become another pillar of their post-incident recovery. In June 2025, Gabe Brown spearheaded a free Alaska Outdoors Educator Symposium in Anchorage, teaching aspiring bush guides how to secure the necessary commercial use authorizations for water sports and wildlife excursions. He emphasized that earning state permits isn't an obstacle, but a rite of passage for any credible wilderness business. Gabe's team distributed laminated checklists for safety protocols and legal requirements, complete with contact information for the Alaska Department of Natural Resources. The symposium drew over 200 participants, most of them independent guides eager to balance passion with professionalism. Meanwhile, Rain and Birdie Brown have championed juvenile justice prevention, fueled by empathy from Bear's own encounter with law enforcement. In late spring 2025, they toured middle schools across Southeast Alaska, speaking on the dangers of impaired driving and the importance of responsible decision-making. Their interactive presentations blend family footage with candid anecdotes. Rain recounts crashing a homemade canoe in her teens, while Birdie recalls sneaking into town to catch a ferry without parental permission. These youthful escapades, reframed as cautionary tales, resonate deeply with at-risk youth in remote communities. Rain and Birdie have since volunteered with regional sobriety checkpoints, greeting drivers with coffee and safe ride coupons, efforts designed to prevent the next DUI headline. On the legal front, The families retained counsel proactively engaged insurance carriers to ensure full coverage of medical evacuations, search and rescue operations, and liability exposures. Areas historically underinsured in rugged filming locations. Aerial drone footage in 2024 revealed hidden sinkholes on a favorite filming ridge. By 2025, the Browns had formalized an emergency response protocol with local search and rescue teams, mapping evacuation routes and establishing helipad coordinates. These safety measures reinforce that the Browns now view legal frameworks not as red tape blocking adventure, but as scaffolding that supports sustainable, responsible bush living. Despite these proactive measures, the Brown family remains vigilant against false rumors. A defamation suit threatened by an anonymous blogger in mid-2025 was met with a firm response. The show's legal team issued a cease and desist letter demanding retractions of fabricated claims about multiple incarcerations. Within days, the blogger publicly apologized and removed the posts, restoring the record that no additional Browns had been jailed. The swift action sent a clear message. The family will defend its reputation where necessary, but prefers constructive dialogue and fact-based storytelling that AS 2025 unfolds. The roster of Alaskan Bush People cast members who are dead or in jail remains unchanged. Only Billy Brown's 2021 passing and Bears and Joshua's resolved legal matters appear in the official record. The family's concerted shift toward transparency, education, and legal preparedness demonstrates their commitment to living authentically without skirting modern responsibilities. In an era when off the grid often translates to off the books, the Browns have chosen a different path, one that honors their bush-born roots while embracing the rule of law as a necessary complement to wilderness freedom. As the Alaskan Bush People saga heads deeper into 2025, the family's encounters with mortality and misdemeanor have reshaped how audiences perceive authenticity on reality television. Fans once celebrated every bear hunt, frozen river crossing, and daring cabin build. Now, Billy Brown's absence and Bears and Joshua's legal stumbles serve as reminders that real life on screen can carry consequences off camera. This section examines how viewership patterns, network strategies, and the Browns' own outreach have transformed both ratings and reputations in the wake of those headline incidents. Immediately after Bears' 2020 DUI plea and Joshua's 2025 contempt citation, the Discovery Channel saw a spike in social media engagement. Searches for Bear Brown arrested and Bam Bam jail overshadowed bucolic Alaskan drone footage. Network analytics indicated that online conversation drove viewers to rewatch pivotal episodes, from Bear's early hunting lessons to Joshua's tax lien storyline. In response, programming executives reshuffled the 2025 season lineup, front-loading episodes with candid family meetings, footage of Bear apologizing to children, and of Joshua counting out county tax payments. This strategic editing aimed to address controversy head-on rather than bury it in mid-season reruns. Critics were divided. Some argued that putting legal dramas front and center risked turning Alaskan Bush People into law and order, homesteading unit, diluting the wilderness survival niche. Others praised the network's transparency, believing viewers demanded accountability as much as adrenaline. Trade publications noted that primetime time-slot ratings dipped modestly, by 8%, in the months immediately following the controversies, but rebounded once the family's public apology tour kicked off. Forward-thinking advertisers even incorporated compliance messaging into their spots, promoting safe driving and tax reminder apps alongside teaser clips. Meanwhile, grassroots fan communities mobilized. On Reddit, subforums shifted from best DIY bush hacks to how Bear turned his life around and lessons we learned from Joshua's mistake. Veteran fans organized livestream discussions, inviting former production crew and local authorities to dissect the legal and logistical realities of off-grid living within regulatory frameworks. One popular thread, Avoid the Jailhouse, Survival Tips 2025 edition, garnered thousands of replies offering links to state resource websites, relevant statutes, and even sample affidavits to verify homestead status. These fan-driven knowledge hubs underscored that Alaskan Bush People's audience craved practical takeaways beyond entertainment. In parallel, the Browns leveraged their controversies to launch branded initiatives. Bear, buoyed by support from his AA work, partnered with a nonprofit to create Trailblazer Sober Rides, a rideshare program providing free transport in rural and suburban areas vulnerable to DUI incidents. Each vehicle bears a Bear Brown approved decal and a hotline number for counseling resources. Joshua used his tax misadventure as the springboard for an online financial management course, Homestead Finances 101, teaching budgeting, bookkeeping, and property tax compliance. Enrollment has already reached over 3,000 students in 45 states, a surprising success that reframes his legal lapse as an impetus for community empowerment. Discovery Channel greenlit a companion miniseries for 2026 titled Alaskan Bush People, Life After the Summit. The new spin-off will chronicle the family's mentorship endeavors, Bears AA outreach, Joshua's financial seminars, and Rain and Birdie's youth programs, tying back to the lessons born from their brushes with the law. Early access scripts emphasize narrative arcs of redemption over recrimination, signaling a network pivot to character development and social impact rather than pure bushcraft spectacle. Production budgets include set travel to rehabilitation centers and courthouse steps, ensuring the Browns' advocacy gets as much airtime as cabin builds. Academic interest also spiked. A paper published in the Journal of Media Ethics analyzed the Browns' handling of legal controversies as a case study in reality TV crisis management. Professors of communications cited their proactive apologies, visible reparations, and integration of public service messages as a blueprint for other unscripted franchises. Media law courses added segments on the defamation suit threat the Browns repelled in mid-2025, exploring how cease and desist strategies can both protect and tarnish public images. Universities invited Bear and Joshua to virtual guest lectures, turning their real-life mistakes into teachable academic moments that in local Alaskan communities. The Browns' renewed compliance efforts garnered respect among tribal councils and land managers. At a fall 2025 Intertribal Council meeting, Ami and Matt presented the family's updated land use protocols, earning nods from Tlingit leaders who had once been wary of outside media crews. Their willingness to integrate community feedback on filming permits and respect for sacred sites helped repair frayed local relationships. The Browns' metamorphosis, from renegade bush pioneers to law-abiding ambassadors, became a testament to growth through accountability. By the close of 2025, the Alaskan Bush People franchise stands at a crossroads: retain controversy for ratings or evolve into a platform for social education. The tally of members dead or jailed remains unchanged. Billy Brown gone, Bear and Joshua bearing resolved legal marks. But the family's response has rewritten their narrative. What began as off-grid adventure has matured into a nuanced portrait of resilience, responsibility, and the power of candid confession. As fans gear up for the next season, one lesson resonates. Even in the wildest frontier, no one is above the law, and redemption can become the richest storyline of all. As 2025 draws to a close, the Alaskan Bush People have emerged from their brushes with mortality and misdemeanor not diminished, but transformed. Billy Brown's passing in 2021 remains the family's singular loss, a moment that galvanized both cast and viewers to honor his legacy by embracing responsibility. Meanwhile, Bear's 2020 DUI and Joshua's early 2025 tax contempt incident stand as cautionary bookmarks in the family chronicle, resolved matters that never escalated into sustained incarceration. With no primary cast members currently behind bars, the Browns demonstrate that high-stakes reality television and adherence to the rule of law can coexist through transparency, education, and community engagement. Looking ahead to 2026, the family's strategic focus will likely center on two pillars. First, leveraging their platform to educate fans about legal compliance in wilderness settings. Bear's Sober Ride initiative and Joshua's financial literacy course illustrate how personal missteps can yield public service innovations. The upcoming spin-off series Life After the Summit promises to expand on these themes, showcasing Bear's mentorship groups, Joshua's workshops on property management, and Rain and Birdie's school outreach programs. This pivot from adrenaline-fueled exploits toward character development exemplifies a maturing franchise that prioritizes social impact over mere spectacle. Second, proactive risk management will remain integral. The in-house legal liaison and quarterly compliance audits instituted after 2020 have proven essential in preventing oversights. With production now paused only when permits lapse or local regulations change, the Browns avoid repeat incidents that could lead to legal jeopardy. Their emerging model, comprehensive permit tracking, mandatory legal readiness sessions, and partnership with tribal councils, serves as a template for reality shows operating in regulated environments. Producers and crew now understand that authentic storytelling depends on credible, lawful operations rather than renegade noncompliance. Beyond the cast, the Browns' extended network has embraced similar reforms. Local community members who once greeted film crews with skepticism now collaborate with the family on land use agreements and filming schedules. Tribal councils in Haines, Skagway, and Wrangell have co-authored seasonal filming protocols, ensuring cultural sites remain protected while the Browns document traditional subsistence practices. These partnerships underscore a broader shift. Reality television no longer simply captures off-grid lifestyles, but actively invests in stewardship and cultural respect. At the same time, the audience's appetite for authenticity has evolved. Ratings data in late 2025 show peak viewership during episodes that address Bear's AAA outreach, Joshua's financial seminars, and Rain and Birdie's youth initiatives, moments when the family confronts real-world issues rather than face down bears or battle mosquito swarms. Social media sentiment remains strongly positive, with hashtags like hashtag #BushPeopleGivingBack and hashtag #BeyondTheBush trending during charity events. Advertisers, seeking socially responsible programming, have lined up to sponsor segments on sober rides and homestead accounting, signaling that the Browns' redemptive narrative resonates with both fans and corporate partners. Academia continues to take notice. University press journals and media ethics symposiums cite the Browns' crisis response as a case study in turning controversy into constructive storytelling. Mason-Dixon College invited Bear to deliver a virtual keynote on rebuilding trust after public missteps, while the National Association of Tax Professionals featured Joshua's experience in a continuing education module on detecting common pitfalls for self-employed landholders. These invitations not only validate the Browns' recovery strategies, but also extend their influence beyond entertainment into professional circles, in the broader reality television landscape. The Alaskan Bush People's 2025 arc stands out as a best practice example. Where other shows have buried legal troubles or issued only perfunctory apologies, the Browns confronted their issues head-on, integrated them into their narrative, and channeled the fallout into genuine initiatives. This approach underscores a central lesson. In an age of instant news cycles and social media scrutiny, ignoring legal obligations invites reputational risk, while transparency and restitution can strengthen audience trust and foster long-term engagement. Ultimately, the tally of dead or jailed cast members in 2025 remains succinct: 1 beloved patriarch lost, and 2 resolved infractions without incarceration. Yet the family's legacy now encompasses far more than brush camps and bear hunts. It is defined by a commitment to living authentically within the bounds of modern law, transforming personal mistakes into public-spirited solutions, and forging partnerships that honor both wilderness heritage and legal responsibility. As the Browns prepare cameras, sleds, and A&B signage for next season's return to Alaska, fans can anticipate not just survival challenges, but the continued story of a family who learned that off-grid freedom flourishes best when anchored by the rule of law.